On today's episode, I have compiled some of my very best buy or DIY projects, dupes, knockoffs, and you will be astounded at the savings that we did on some of these projects and how close they look to their originals. Also, stay tuned for next week's episode because I've got a great brand new surprise makeover for you that you're gonna absolutely love. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and maybe even DIY right along with me, but let's get started. We are gonna head to the store and see what we can find. I have an idea of what I'm looking for, but I haven't decided exactly on the piece. There's literally nobody in the store. It's gonna be so hard. All right, nobody distract. Here we go. Things. First of all, the store was beautiful and it was so fun to shop in there. Everything was clean and well displayed. It is an experience to shop there.
This place is so fancy.
The staff and the employees there were so nice and so helpful. And so just an overall really good experience shopping there. But you guys, that was painful. Buying that and spending that much money. I actually ended up getting 2 items because I think one of them is going to be so easy to DIY that it's gonna be over like that. Now, I don't want to get cocky because there is one element that I think might be tricky this time of year, but I did get a flower that is not popular this time of year, so that's gonna be a challenge. Possibly, we'll see. So then I got a second one just as a backup, or maybe we'll do both of them. We'll just have to see how this episode goes. But yeah, so now we're gonna go and find some items to DIY with, and we're gonna get some supplies and see how close we can get them. But the sticker shock is real, so yeah, so let's go see if we can make ourselves feel better by finding much better deals. We're in the pillow section and I want to show you kind of what I'm thinking. So here we go. So this pillow covering is just $2.99. And if we lay it down next to this, you can see that the texture is really, really close, and so is the color. They also have this velvet one for $5.99, and that also could be a good option if I can find it, because we've got both velvet and that. So if we need to use this one to cut apart, we can, but maybe we can find velvet at the store too. But either way, I think that's a good call. We're about 5 minutes from a Hobby Lobby. We're gonna also check their pillows just to make sure that we can't find a better match there, because they also have really good prices there. I'm also gonna be looking for a vase potentially, if they have one to go with that. Flowers, because we need to find that. So let's see what we can find. Hopefully we get lucky. Okay, so size-wise, this is really good for what we're looking for. What it's missing are the big chunky handles, which really made it special. So I think we're gonna pass on this for now, but we can always keep it as an option because I think the size and the shape is really, really good. We just need some like thick handles, even thicker than this. So we could always DIY the handles if we needed to, but let's see what we can find elsewhere. We are gonna need some heat and bond to attach our like velvet to our pillow. So here we go, $3.50. We won't use all of it. Apparently I missed the memo where they discontinued their pillowcase or a pillow cover, so they don't have them anymore. So that's okay. So I'm in Orlando, so I found a place that has HomeGoods next to Ross, next to Marshall's. So I like those odds for finding a planter pot or a pot to match the one we found at Pottery Barn. So let's go look. That is way bigger than we need. That's not the right style. It's a little closer. It feels like it could be something from Pottery Barn. Not quite right though. I feel like the one at Hobby Lobby was closer than that. So now I'm at my HomeGoods close to my house. I am on a mission. I swear I'm gonna find what I need at HomeGoods, but there's some other stores we can hit here as well. Okay, I am half tempted to buy this and call it a day. It is really close. Let me show you a little bit closer and the price and all that. So it's not lilacs, it's hydrangeas, but it's a similar look and feel. The pot is nice, it's white, and it's got the handles, not as chunky, $79 for a very big, chunky look. It's very similar. So I'm walking down, we've got Burlington Coat Factory and Bills, and so we'll see what we can find there. Hopefully he's not getting soaked. Let's go. Okay, you guys, this is super promising. This is really got those chunky handles just like ours. It's heavy, feels substantial. I don't think it's as big, but I don't have it with me. You guys, $16.99. I think this is worth a chance. So looking at this one, this is similar to some stuff I saw there as well. And not as nice, but this one painted properly could really work. We've got to try to find beautiful, good quality flowers for a really great price. Okay, they have these white lilacs, but the quality is just not there. That's not gonna work. But honestly, I'm surprised they even had lilacs this time of year, so I'm gonna go back into their individual stems and maybe we'll get lucky there because the quality of the individual stems typically tend to be better, so who knows, we'll get lucky. Okay, so these are pretty, but they're, as you can see, too droopy. They're not a lilac, they're like a, I'm guessing like a PG hydrangea, but that's not gonna work. And that's not gonna work. But I always like snowballs. Those are cute, but they're not as good quality and they're not lilac, so. So these are spring and summer, so they are 70% off, making them like $2.40 a stem. So I got a ton, as you can see. They're really pretty. I don't know if they're gonna be enough to like fool my husband or not. Actually, I actually kind of like the snowballs better. I think they look a little higher quality. They're not the same flowers. This is our pot, and I cannot believe how much it looks like our inspiration one. Now, it is a little bit smaller. Having said that, Pottery Barn sells this exact size. Exactly, so if I wanted to drive back to the store, buy it and swap it out, which I'm considering doing just for exactness, but I may just show you like the pricing and all of that because they do sell this exact size. We are gonna paint it. Now, we want this to be very convincing, so we're gonna do several different layers and we're gonna be very careful with our painting. We've got to be super particular, not have any drips, so I'm going to be doing several light coats just so I don't mess up. The good thing about this pottery piece is it generally soaks up the paint very well. The other thing is, at first glance, it looks like a matte white paint on the pot. And that might pass, I'm not sure. We're gonna have to just see. But when I was looking at it a little closer, it looked like it was like subtly off-white. So we'll just see how it looks. We're gonna spray paint it in this Krylon Fusion matte white spray paint. And we're gonna just see how closely it matches up. I'm gonna start from the bottom because like if anything gets damaged, I'd rather it be the bottom, you know, where you're not looking. So we're gonna put this upside down and we are going to just make sure that we get underneath the handles, make sure we get everything. I'm gonna put on some protective stuff. I'm gonna put on my She Vader mask, which is over there, and I might put a glove on this hand, just, I gotta protect my manicure. All right, here we go. She Vader. Okay, that's coat one of like about 50 that I'm gonna do. I'm just kidding, not 50. But we'll let that dry and then we'll move it around. I don't know, we'll do some more coats. As I was walking upstairs to my craft room here, I got thinking about it and I'm like, hello, I think we can sand it out. Why wouldn't we be able to? So we're just gonna let that first coat of paint dry. We'll sand it really good and then we'll continue to paint. I think that that will solve the problem. So crossing our fingers. So here's our two pots. They look really, really good. Probably the biggest difference is this is more rounded and this is square. And obviously size, which we could get this pot in that size. So they do have that. At first glance, you would think that this looks like a matte white, and this is painted in matte white, but looking at them side by side, there's a slight iridescence to it. So I got another spray paint that we're gonna take it out into the shop and do like a light dusting of this snow white that has like a satin finish. We're not gonna do a heavy coat because we don't want it to become satin, but we're gonna just do like a light dusting with that. Then hopefully it will be a total great match. I got the floral stems from Temu for $36, including tax. All of our flowers we got were less than 10% of the cost of our inspiration ones. And all I did to arrange them was just bend all the stems, kind of similar to the ones I found at Pottery Barn. We're gonna grab the flowers. I've already kind of fluffed them up and tested them out in here. So, okay, let's see if we can slide those in. This was very beginner friendly, I promise. Anybody can do this. So next up we have this pillow case, and normally I might not do two in one of these episodes, but I felt like the first one was fairly easy.
Piece of cake.
And so I wanted to give myself a little bit of a challenge, and this is the one that's going to challenge me a little bit more. We have this kind of tone-on-tone zebra print pillow, and I have found at IKEA some that are like, the fabrics are really, really close. Now it's about getting the pattern correct. And I got on Canva and I found some zebra stripes that were similar, and we could maybe use those. However, I had an idea to get this exact pattern, and the idea is using parchment paper. We'll pull it open and you can see through it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to tape two pieces together, and then I will trace the pattern out with that. We should be able to see through this, trace the outline of the zebra print, and get it spot on, which is really cool. Yeah, this is how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna just take either a fabric pen or a pencil to trace this. So let's start. I traced the zebra print pattern onto the parchment paper. This became our pattern. this prepped, I laid our pattern over the velvet and we pinned it into place, then carefully cut it out. Then I peeled off the backing of each of these zebra stripes and laid it into place the best I could, and I ironed it on high heat, no steam, for 8 to 10 seconds to make sure that it sticks in place. Okay, here's where we're at. We'd need to stitch around the edges because otherwise it just feels less nice. So I've got to find the right color of thread, because this is a little off of this, right? These two match pretty good, but this one has a little bit more yellow in it, and so we need to be able to transition it to where we don't want to use bright white, but maybe some kind of ivory color to tie those in. But look at that, we're looking pretty good. Okay, so I did a couple of thread options and I didn't do like that great of a job, but that's option 1. And there's actually not a big difference between option 1 and option 2, which is this one. And then option 3 is much lighter, which is this one. You can barely see it. It's like the same color as the fabric. And if you remember, my velvet's a lot lighter, but I'm trying to transition it. I think I'm gonna go with option 2 because I feel like this thread is a little bit darker. And so this one, ignore my stitching, I got a little too close to the edge. But I think I'm gonna go with the darker one to just kind of make the transition a little bit more subtle. Also, I don't know if you can see, but it actually has stitching around the edge, which we're gonna have to unpick in order to be able to top stitch on this side, because if we don't do that, then the top stitching will show here. Like, we might need to actually seam rip it all the way around. So these are my settings for those people who might be wondering. 4 is a zigzag, but that's my stitches. I did a zigzag stitch around all of the edges, and now I may have rushed this a little, and you'll see in the end that I probably should have taken a little bit more time to do this and maybe been a little bit more particular. Okay, so here we go. It's pulling a little bit because there's some strings that haven't been clipped on the back, but we're looking pretty good. We got all the stitching done. It's not perfect, but hopefully, like, when we get it all put back together and everything, it will look really good. But now we are gonna re-sew the sides so that we can finish up. But first we'll flip it on the inside to be able to sew, and I'll clip all of those loose. You can see there's a lot of loose threads that are pulling and making it pucker. Then we needed to stitch up the sides from the pillow form, and that was it, other than stuffing our IKEA pillow form inside the cover. I have them both side by side, and now it's time to judge them. Okay, so here's the first one.
What? So one of them is Pottery Barn and one of them is yours?
Yep. Which one do you think is which?
Honey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought I was gonna be like, totally know like which one was which.
Really? You can't tell, huh?
Oh my word. I don't know. There's subtle differences between the two.
Yeah.
So one's very expensive and one's like a budget.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with this one because it
This one is
looks more rustic.
This one is what?
This one?
Yeah, is that the buy or the DIY?
No, this one is the buy and the DIY is this one because it's just smoother. But that's it. That's all I can go on.
You're right.
This one's
the DIY and that one is from Pottery Barn.
You are impressive.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Yeah,
I got one more for you though.
Oh, okay. Where's it?
It's over here. Okay, so it's these two pillows. Which one do you think is which?
This one has contrast stitching. So this one is Pottery Barn and this one is yours. So I don't care if I'm right or wrong. You can hardly tell these things apart. Good job.
You were wrong this time. So this one is from Pottery Barn and that one is the one I made.
So me being wrong is probably good then. I don't know. Don't look at me. Look at the pillows.
They're awesome.
So you did this one?
I did.
And Pottery Barn did this one?
Yes.
How much is this one?
$100.
And how much did you do that one for?
$20.
You're crazy, honey.
All right. Thanks, honey. Let's go on a date now.
All right.
So I went to Anthropologie to do a buy or DIY, and apparently they forgot to stock decor for me to look at.
How rude.
So we're gonna go online right now and see what we can find. So we're gonna go to anthropologie.com. We're gonna click on top rated decor pieces and pillows. And so we're gonna scroll through here. This one's really cute, the Camille Floral ceramic vase. This might be a good option. Yeah, I mean, that's cute-ish. Oh, stop it right now. A garlic vase. A vase that looks like it's covered in cloves of garlic. Is that something you would like to have in your home? Because I'm looking at that and that looks a little unique. We'll just say that.
No vampires.
Here's one that is really cool. And that is this Italian painted cylinder vase. There's one that I was thinking about that I have seen previously. So this Triptych mirror, I love that. And this is $598. That's really, really expensive, but it's beautiful. And I love the gleaming primrose mirror that I have duped and many other people have duped. This puts a new spin on it and we'll use this as maybe our backup. I just had to show you this mirror. It's much taller, but it very much has an Anthropologie vibe and even has the birds on the corners like one we saw. Okay, the shape of this is actually really good, and I like the handles. And all of these kind of pieces are definitely giving that Anthropologie vibe. That we might try to recreate some of the pieces, but Anthropologie without DIYing. How do you feel about the mushroom? Like, are you into it? This definitely has Anthropologie vibes, and I might get it if the line is not too long, because I actually think that's really pretty. Okay, I found these mirrors. I got two of them. I have an idea, but I'm going to need to run to Hobby Lobby to fully execute my idea. Right, next stop. Can't not go to Hobby Lobby. Did that even make sense? Not? Double negative? All right, it's a must. Okay, do you see where I'm going with this? These two are from HomeGoods, and this one in the middle actually kind of matches. There's one other mirror, but I think we could mimic that and it would look really close. Anthropologie had their chance. Now it's my turn. Since we're unable to do the nightstand that I really wanted to do, our main project is going to be the Gleaming Primrose Triptych mirror. So on our shopping trip, we found the 3 mirrors that we're going to use for our version. So the main mirror, that one was marked at $99, but it's always 50% off. Like, it doesn't even rotate weeks, I don't think. I think they're just like always 50% off. So we got that one for $49. So the main larger mirror we got at Hobby Lobby, but I was even surprised how well they coordinated. They were even better than I thought. But so I first found the 2 side ones at HomeGoods, and I just had a very good feeling that they were going to work well with one at Hobby Lobby. Okay, so here's the problem. Because I do not want to cut off this trim right here, it's making it hard to do a hinge because it can't get super snug. So either I need to just cut that off, which I don't really want to do because I think it's pretty, and then it might have like an unfinished edge, which maybe we could work on, or come up with like another solution that doesn't adjust, like an L bracket that we would obviously paint. But so I ordered some on Amazon that I thought would work, but then I wasn't quite sure because I knew that we were dealing with the little decorative elements on the bottom of the mirror. So the hinges didn't work for me, so I ended up going out to my garage and finding 4 L brackets that were from an IKEA piece that they were like mounting hardware to mount it to the wall, and I didn't end up needing it because I used other mounting hardware. But a 90-degree angle is not the angle that we're going for because we kind of want it on a 45-degree angle. So this is kind of silly, and I don't have a good pedicure right now, so you'll have to pardon me because I was wearing flip-flops. I just stepped on them and like bent them because they were not like a super hard metal, and I just kind of flattened them out to more of like a 45-degree angle, and then I kind of lined them all up just to make sure that they were kind of bent at the same. Really high-tech DIYing right here. This is, woo! For me, this is how I decided to do it because I thought it might take some finagling to get them right. I hot glued these hinges to the back of the mirror. An epoxy resin is pretty strong hold, so that's what I would personally recommend. In my case, this is gonna be really good enough for you guys to see, and then I'm gonna probably break this piece apart and use them in separate places anyways. I just glued it in, and then we had silver things. Now, I probably should have rub and buffed these first, but I wanted to make sure it worked first. So I ended up going in and rub and buffing after, and it's fine. I don't think it did anything. It would have just been a little bit easier to do the rub and buff first, but I went in with like a little chip brush and put in some antique gold rub and buff, and that worked out really great, and the coloring was fine. And the overall look, you guys, this looks so high-end because these mirrors that we started with were absolutely beautiful. I worry that if we had cut off like the trim on the bottom, and we could have maybe rub and buffed it a little bit, but I worry that it might not have gotten a clean cut. Maybe we'd have had an accident, broken the mirror. So I am super happy with the way this looked, even with the L bracket. Once we went in with the rub and buff and made it look gold, they kind of just disappear, and it looks beautiful and stunning, and every bit as high-end as the one you would get at Anthropologie, in my humble opinion. So just as a reminder, the Gleaming Primrose Triptych mirror was $598. So let's go through the cost of mine. The middle mirror was $49. We'll call it $50. I'm just gonna round this up just to make it easy. $50 for the middle mirror. The side mirrors were $20 each. So we are in this $90. The brackets were free and hardly any rub and buff. So since I rounded up on the other stuff, I feel like calling it $90 is a realistic amount. Now, I think $90 for how beautiful and stunning this mirror is, I think it's amazing. I love it. I'm a little sad that I don't have a spot for it because I am thrilled with how it turned out. And I'd be interested in hearing what you think, but this just goes to show you a high-end look doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be a complicated DIY, and we still saved a ton of money. Up next is an Italian painted floral cylinder planter. It's blue. To me, it looks like a blue chinoiserie vase. Actually, it makes me think of Lisa. She really loves this look, and this might be an ode to her. And the technique on this is one that you've been seeing me do lately. I don't know if I'm on a kick of using napkins to redo things, and it just seemed like the appropriate method for this one. So the Italian painted floral cylinder calendar planter, that's a mouthful, is $68 at Anthropologie. You know, it's not very large. It just seems kind of expensive. So let's see how convincing and how inexpensive we can get ours. Now I got my planter pot, my terracotta pot at Hobby Lobby. You'll remember from our shopping trip, for $1.99, and that is a great price. And it was a good shape. It was not exact, but it's pretty close. So I first started by spraying inside and out a white spray paint. Let that fully dry. Then I ordered some napkins online, and they do have some kind of similar-ish at Hobby Lobby if you wanted to grab those, but I got these two packages because I wasn't sure which direction I would go, and what I ended up doing is using one of each. So I took our statement center from these napkins right here, but then the rest of it was a little bit more consistent, so I used this damask one. Now they're not an exact color match, but they're pretty close, and I think they worked in our case. Now, like you've seen me do in other DIYs similar to that, you peel out the backing. I cut out the little pieces that we wanted to use. I tried to keep the pattern as well as I could, but you know, there's gonna be some overlap if you want some consistency. And then I used some matte Mod Podge, and I put that on liberally. Then I tamped down our sections and pieces, starting with like the main statement pieces and then filling in with the damask pattern. And I covered the whole thing. And then while it was still wet, and this might be dangerous and some people do this differently, but while it was still wet, I went over the top of it as well. Let that fully dry. Then I pulled out a product that I haven't used for a while because I thought that this would give us a really cool look, and I do it differently on our next project because I ended up doing 3 in this episode. I did it a different way, and you will be able to see the difference and why this might be a really cool product for you to get. So this is called Decoart's Triptych Brilliant Brush On Gloss Glaze, and this stuff is super thick. And what this does is, because this is so thick, it kind of restores some of that effect that you would get on a traditionally fired ceramic piece. And this takes a while to dry. I dried mine overnight. It says 24 hours. It was handleable. Is that handleable? My goodness, sometimes I come up with some weird words. I don't even know if that's a real word. But on our inspiration piece, I felt like I saw a little hint of like an exposed terracotta that you will see in similar things. Now, when I looked at it closer, I don't know if it was that or not, but either way, I decided to go in on the top and bottom with my favorite. It's called Iced Coffee. It really mimics that like pottery look that you will see. So I did like ever so slightly around the bottom rim. I didn't want to go crazy. I didn't want it to be loud like some of the other pieces I've done before. This was like a really subtle hit. And I do think that this added like a lot of interest and dimension. So I would recommend doing this if you wanted to repeat this project. I just did like a very subtle rim on the bottom and then on the top. I needed to do 2 coats of that. Then I let it fully dry, and then I tried to style it up similar to the picture with a variety of different greeneries, and I think it was pretty convincing. I love how this turned out, and I think by adding this triple thick glaze that really helped sell it and make it a little bit more convincing. Now, does it look like it was like professionally fired? And no, it does not. The original piece was $68. My version, we spent $1.99 on the terracotta pot, napkins at 50 cents, paint and supplies, I'm gonna just call it $1 because it's like kind of hard to like price it out when you're using some really small amounts of things. So the final price is $3.50, and to me, that is definitely worth saving. For the next project, we've got this Camille floral ceramic vase for $44. Now, this looked like a cute little sweet vase. We found our vase at the thrift store on my little thrifting adventure with my son Camden, and it was marked at $3.99. but it was 50% off day on blue tags that day, and so that dropped the price down to $1.99. And I went with the frosted version because I thought it would accept the paint better, and I think I was right. So that's what I did. Is the first thing I did is I spray painted it on the outside and the inside in white spray paint. I used a matte one because I have a lot of matte white on hand. So then, I don't know if you remember these napkins. And maybe this is one of the reasons I decided to take on this project, is because I thought I might be able to replicate it. So I had this from like last year, maybe even 2 years ago. I don't even remember. So this is in my stash, and we are going to be replicating a similar process as what we just did and what I've done in previous episodes. So I basically cut out the floral pattern that I wanted, plus a couple of extra butterflies to fill in some areas that were like a little bit more open on the sides. And so obviously our floral design is going to cover up a little bit more of our base than the inspiration one. I really do think that this is such a pretty design. And so it is, again, Mod Podge, napkin laid down, place the extra couple of butterflies, Mod Podged over it, let that fully dry. This time around, I decided to see what the difference would be if I took it out and kind of put a thicker layer of a spray on polyurethane. Honestly, if you were trying to get a more convincing ceramic vase look, I would go with a triple thick glaze again, just because I think it will get rid of the texture, which the polyurethane did not do at all. So. Polyurethane probably gave it a little bit extra protection, but it really didn't do anything in the way of texture or finish. Like, it probably made it a little stronger. And that's it. Super easy. Inspiration one was $44. My version, remember, our thrifted vase was $1.99. Then I'm going to call it 50 cents for the napkin and miscellaneous supplies for 50 cents. So our final price on this is $3. I love the overall look from it, especially from a distance. Up close, I'm not like full on convinced, or I don't like, for me, I like it. And if you think it's something that you're gonna just swap out real soon, then I would probably do the DIY version. But if it's something that you want to have like for the long haul, or like as a statement piece, I, in my case, might consider waiting for it to go on sale, because sometimes they do sales, and so wait for it to go on sale and then maybe buy it. So that's just my humble opinion. But let's go over kind of like the final verdict, but don't leave just yet, because I do still have a no DIY dupe for you that is really, really good, and it's for a Mackenzie Childs piece. I'm excited to share it with you, but I just kind of wanted to go over the final verdict here real quick. So the nightstand, I still love you, but we were just not meant to be today. So that one might be coming in a future episode. Mirror DIY, no question. Save yourself hundreds of dollars and get an equally beautiful look. The blue planter, same. DIY, it feels custom, it saves you a ton of money too, and I liked the look, especially adding that glaze over the top. For the vase, it does look a little DIY'd with a little bit more effort, like the glaze. It could have looked a little bit better, and I love the design on the napkin. So unless you really like the look of the Anthropology one and you're willing to pay $44 for it, I would just DIY it. But like I said just a second ago, wait for it to go on sale if you really love it. Okay, so now it's time for our no DIY dupe. And I've left them in the plastic, because, especially since I'm probably going to be returning the Mackenzie Childs one. So the packaging on this is super cute. I love it. I think it's got a lot of personality, and I would love to see this in my kitchen. But you guys, it's $199 for a cutting board. And you know, it does have the Mackenzie Childs logo on it right there, which our dupe will obviously not have, but it's $199, okay? So check out this dupe. Okay, you're gonna see that this is very similar in size. Let me see if I can get it up here. Okay, do you guys see that? So it's like 1 inch shorter this way, and I think this way, it's like a 1 inch shorter in each direction, okay? The Mackenzie Childs one is obviously a little bit thicker. But other than that, who's gonna know? I mean, that is like incredibly a great dupe. It says Mackenzie Child, and just get this one. Because honestly, if we really wanted to wood burn it on, we could, but I'm not gonna do that obviously, but just my 2 cents. But I love this for a no DIY dupe. Love it. And if you like me doing these no DIY dupes, let me know and I'll try to find more. But I just thought that was fun. So this one is called the Etched Garden Triptych Framed Print, and I just thought this was so stunning. So this is like a little nod to that look. I want more color and more saturation in this one. The size that I want to do is 29 by 61. That's the largest size, but I want to do a set of 3. If you can see that, that's $3,897. Now you can't get this in the store, so you will need to spend the money on shipping plus tax and all of that. You're gonna be well over $4,000. So today we're gonna recreate this. And the first thing that I want to do is go and find an inspiration piece here. So we're gonna go into Amazon and see if we can't find like a wall mural. Immediately I find a few of them. So like this one could work, but this one right here really works. So one avenue we could do is to just go ahead and order this mural. Let's just see what size that it is. The smallest size that it comes in is 127 inches wide by 77 inches tall. That's bigger than we're needing to do, but that is an option. That would be $79.99 to do that, which is actually, in like the whole scheme of things, not a bad price. It is expensive if you're doing like small art, but if you're doing like massive, large scale art, like we're attempting to do, that is not a bad price for 3 large pieces of art. Here's what I'm thinking. You go to here, click on the image, we're gonna make it bigger. And then what we're gonna do is we are gonna take a screenshot. So Shift Window S, and we are going to screenshot this art, okay? Then we're gonna go to ChatGPT. So we go to ChatGPT, which I have a love-hate thing with AI, but if this is not your thing, that's totally okay. But I just think AI is coming and I'm going to take advantage of the good parts of it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be like, recreate a version of this image that looks similar but is different enough that it doesn't infringe on copyright. Make this big enough to be 60 inches tall by 90 inches wide. So then you can add an image. So we've attached our inspiration picture. We've given our instructions of what we want ChatGPT to do. This could go either way. This could turn out really good or it could turn out really crazy. So let us hit that and just see. And then generally speaking, it takes not too long. I mean, less than a minute. Okay, that is pretty darn good for the first time around. Now, if you wanted to adjust anything about this image, you could totally do that, but I think it looks good. So all we need to do is click on the image and hit download. We're gonna divide this into 3 images, but before we do that, we really need to go out and shop and see what we are able to find in the way of frames. We're gonna start at an obvious contender where we can buy things in mass. And so we'll see what they've got. My hopes are kind of and expectations are kind of low. So, but well, let's go see. Okay, that's gonna be too rustic and also too fat. So none of these are gonna work and also not the right dimensions. As I suspected, they really only have 24 by 36, which is smaller than I'm looking for. So we're gonna go look through their other artwork and see if we can't like alter some of the other artwork. So if you wanted to do like a much smaller version, this frame is actually really close to what we're looking for. It has glass on it. What we could do is break it apart and replace this little piece of fabric that they've got put in. I want something much larger, but this could be an option if you wanted to replicate this and do something smaller. This one could also be an interesting option if you wanted to like paint over this and have no glass and just put it on top. It's got that light oak frame that we are looking for. It's also too small for what I'm going for, but they did have smaller options that but I just want to make one of the largest that we can. Again, so you're going to be able to find something kind of that could work in some of these options, but I feel like this option has a little bit thicker frame, but this would all need to be painted out white. Here is that same frame. It's like a similar look, but it's just so small. But what I love about this is it has like the textured piece floating, kind of similar to what we're trying to replicate. It's almost like a mini shadow box. So like this could definitely work if you wanted a smaller version. Finding the right frame was actually harder than I thought. I couldn't find the perfect size locally here. Building one didn't seem to make sense financially, but IKEA came to the rescue with something close enough, and we're gonna move forward with that. They're not as long as and as skinny as our inspiration piece, but they are as around the same height as the middle-sized one. And if you remember the Pottery Barn middle-sized one, the price for that one is still $2,097. So by the time you add tax and shipping and all of that, you're gonna be into all of $2,200 easy. You can scale this to whatever size you want to do. Maybe you want to do them in 16 by 20 size. That's an option. If you want to do 8 by 10s or 11 by 14s, that's the cool thing about making your own is you can customize it for your space and still get the look. So we got the IKEA frames. They're not tall and skinny, but other than that, they've got the white matte. They've got the same color frame. We could have selected a different frame color that might have worked better for my home, but I really wanted to get this as close as possible to our inspiration, and I think we've done that with the frames. But before we can put them in the frames, we need to divide them on Canva. So what we're gonna do is Canva, you can get a free one, and it's very user-friendly. Now what I did is I created a new template that is 24 by 36. Go. And just to check our work, we're going to zoom it out and make sure that it looks pretty close. So then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Walgreens, and then we go to the photo, and then the first thing you're always gonna wanna do is go to deals. Right now they've got 50% off posters and banners, and so you always check this, get your coupon code, and then you can go create. And I want to do the adhesive poster because I like that it has the sticky backing, but I also like that it has a matte finish on it. We're gonna be at 24 by 36, and there we go. So then we go to create, and then of course we've already got some art up here, so then you'll select the 3 images, and then add that to the project. Then what you do is I just start on the left side and go across, or just do one print of each one. So click on that, it automatically loads. Then you go review order. And then in our case, we'd go add to the cart and make another, and we would just do that for all of them. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. And then you're gonna wanna do your coupon code. So then we're gonna copy and paste the coupon code, and you can see the price there. Now remember, these are very large prints. If you're doing smaller sizes, it will be less, but we're gonna take off 50% right away. And so then you just finish checking it out, and then we need to go and pick them up. Okay, now we're gonna run to Walgreens and pick up our prints.
Never been so strong with anyone.
Okay, so we did one yesterday and tested it out. What I learned is we don't want to do it all the way up close, because for whatever reason, it just never lines up super perfectly, even with your best intentions. So I'm gonna just move it in a little bit. And this is some foam core poster board that I picked up that was good. And we've gotta do this slowly and carefully because this stuff is sticky. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna not peel it all the way off at all. We're gonna be very careful, and I am gonna try to line it up top here. Now, we're gonna just very carefully peel off a little at a time. Nice and slow. That way you don't get any puckering. Okay, cool. That one is the best one I've ever done. Okay, so now we gotta carefully cut off the excess of the poster. And I just have like this box cutter knife, but I actually think I might run up and get a better blade. This doesn't have like, you can't cut very deep. I'm gonna go see what I can find. So I've got this blade and we're gonna try to be very careful. I tried to use this yesterday when I did the first one. I don't know if it actually helped or not, so we're gonna just see. All right, that's pretty good. So that is our art print and it's nice and sturdy and we can move on to framing it. These are our IKEA frames and they're really nice and I'm kind of glad that we didn't have to build, but at some point I do want to build a frame because I think that would be kind of a good project, but not for a first time. Okay, so we are going to set this piece aside. We're also gonna set this aside. We're gonna set this back here, I guess. We're just making all kinds of messes. And we need to pull off the plastic on the acrylic. And then what we're gonna do is set this in here, make sure that we get it lined up correctly. When you like how it's set, we're gonna make a couple really small, very light pencil marks to mark where the corner goes. And now what we're gonna do is flip this over. And what I am using to mount these are, it's basically double-sided stick tape, but this is meant for like a rug. So we're gonna just put those on the corners and a couple in the middle. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it over and line it up. And there we go. And it kind of broke it, but we'll be okay for this. How did we do? Awesome. All right, this is my drill. It's the best drill ever. I love it. Let's drill some holes. Our art is done and I am thrilled with the results. I think we did a really good job. The only thing that I feel like is a big difference is that ours is a little wider and the original was a little bit skinnier. But other than that, we got the frame almost identical, the mat almost identical, the art almost identical, and we did it for about 12% of the original cost, which is a huge savings, especially for something that looks so high end. So the 4 categories we rank these on is cost, time involved, and skill to make an overall wow factor. So as far as cost, we did really good, obviously, because we did it for 12% of the cost. It's huge savings. I think we could have done better. So maybe I'll give myself like an A- on that one, just because the way we could have saved money is printing on that photo paper. But as far as the size and scale, like we did the best we could for the bang for the buck. Okay, time factor. So you'll remember if we ordered the larger prints, that would have taken us till mid-November to get. So we beat that on time by a mile. So we saved ourselves about 6 to 7 weeks worth of time. So we win in that category as well. Skill. Obviously, this is, I mean, the only thing that is getting up the courage to use ChatGPT to create those images. It's way easier than you think. All you're doing is finding a picture and prompting it and telling it what you want. This skill, I would say A- or B+ if you know, obviously you have to be bold enough to get on the computer and do a little bit, but that, you know, this is totally doable. Or you could just go ahead and order the wall mural that we found. And then as far as overall wow factor, I think we have the same wow factor. We would have had even more wowie. Wowie, does that work? If we had like the even bigger ones that were like taller than I am, absolutely, but that we would have to have found a frame for that. And I think it's possible, but that would have taken a little bit more time and cost a little bit more money. So overall, I give this the win as well, an A+.
I am in need of a dog bowl for Dolly because hers are kind of an aqua color and they also have like a chip in them. So I think I want something a little bit more muted and a different color. So let's see what they've got here. Okay, so oh, those are cute. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so we have some plain white ones, or you can customize this darker charcoal one. And let's put Dolly's name in and see how that looks. Oh, that would be cute. Okay, so that is $20. I think we could do a very similar look for less than that. Let's see what we can find. All right, immediately I am so drawn to this and it looks like it's a bestseller. So I love the container. I actually like the flowers, the peonies in it. So it looks like there's a $40 version and then a $100 version. It's like an 8-inch version and then there's a 14-inch version, which is probably what we'll try to knock off. So that's $100. So let's go see what else there is. Okay, so there's just obviously a lot of options to choose from. Oh, that's kind of cute. Okay, so this candle right here, that's so cool. I love this. It looks like in 2 sizes, but they only have it available in the 7-inch size. But look at that. This embossed thing, I feel like I could recreate that by using like an epoxy resin and then using a stamp.
Right, first stop is HomeGoods. Let's go inside and see what we can find. This is a pretty close match for like those Pottery Barn bowls that we're trying to imitate for Dolly. Okay, I think we found a winner. Winner. This could have real possibilities. Okay, we are now at Hobby Lobby. I'm hoping that we can find some flowers here, but we will look for a couple different things here. These are beautiful tulips. Okay, as far as bushes go, they only have like white and yellow and pink. Okay, so they have these bowls, $17.99, but 40% off. That would make a pretty good price. Now we're checking out Ross for candles and maybe another potential for the vase, because the one we have is close but not like super close, so let's go see what they've got. All right, I'm walking down to Michael's and I noticed that their candles are on sale here for $12.99. That's actually cheaper than the one at Hobby Lobby. Let's smell it together. Oh, that is good. It's okay if we switch the scent, right? Yes, you can. Okay, this is citrus. I don't really love this citrus scent here. There's this one that's honey and vanilla, and since it's gonna have like a bee on the front, I feel like that would be appropriate. This smells really, really good, so maybe this is the winner. Get lucky in here on the peonies. Now, these are ginormous too. What's up with all the ginormous? That's really pretty. That's kind of close to what we're looking for. Okay, so we're back home and I wanted to start with the quickest win of the day. This is a personalized Pottery Barn stoneware pet bowl and it sells for $19.50 before shipping. And honestly, it's adorable, but it's also surprisingly simple. I found these stoneware bowls at HomeGoods for just $3.99 each, and they were almost identical to the inspiration pieces. All I did was I hopped onto Canva, created the design, it out on my Cricut machine using some leftover vinyl scraps I already had on hand. Then all you need to do is just weed it, put some transfer tape on. factor in the cost of the bowl and tiny amount of vinyl, this came in at around $4.25. Compared to about $20 from Pottery Barn, I'd call this a pretty convincing DIY. Now, if you don't have a Cricut machine, you could absolutely paint the name on instead. They have a lot of like stencils for that at Hobby Lobby and other craft places. Either way, this is one of those projects that proves you don't need a huge budget to create something custom and special. Let's move on to the project that definitely gave me the biggest challenge of the day. When I first saw this candle online, I thought, how hard could this possibly be? And I actually had like envisioned how I was gonna even do it. Turns out it was a little harder than I expected. Now remember, we are trying to beat the Pottery Barn version, which sells for $50 on sale and $70 normally. And at first glance, it looks so simple: a glass vessel, a pedestal base, and a small embossed bee detail. But as I started experimenting, I realized that the tiny bee was going to be the key to making this look convincing, and I tried several different approaches. Now, my original plan was to mix up some epoxy, pour it right onto my Aaliyah mat, which is amazing, by the way, and you can pour epoxy right on it, hot glue, paint, all of that, and it holds up. It's awesome. So if you don't have one in your craft room, you definitely need one. But so that was the plan. And then what I was going to do once I poured that epoxy onto the mat was take a bee stamp, which I got on Amazon, and stamp it into the epoxy. Well, I was going to let it set up a little bit first and then stamp it. And I tried this so many different ways. So I tried the Gorilla Glue 5-minute epoxy. I also tried the Dollar Tree 5-minute epoxy. I didn't try regular epoxy, but since these weren't working out, I didn't feel like I was gonna get that big of a difference. I thought about like all of my different options, and then I decided to go back to Hobby Lobby and grab some glass beads. Now, these are the larger glass beads, not the smaller one. They come in 2 different sizes. This one's their larger version. And I thought, well, I could either put vinyl on it or I could etch the glass of the bead. And that's what I did. So I made a little stencil on Cricut and did a bead that was very similar to the one that we're trying to replicate. I tried it on the back and the front because I thought maybe if we etched it on the back, then that would like show through the glass and look a little bit more 3-dimensional. Well, that didn't work out because once you put the glue on it, it kind of disappeared. And then I was like, at this point, I'm like, I don't even know if this is gonna work. So let's do a backup plan. We'll do one that's just straight up vinyl on the bead in a gold, and we'll use that if this other version didn't work. So I had that on hand. But what I did end up doing is I etched the front of the bead, and that ended up working. Now, it is curved on the front, which makes it a little bit more challenging, and I didn't catch this on video. I don't know what happened, but to get it kind of to suction in and not be a splotchy mess, I used hot hair dryer to kind of shrink wrap it around the bead, and that will kind of prevent you from having the etching cream like bleed out and then you don't have a clean bee. So that will help you. So shrink wrap it essentially onto that and then use some etching cream. You just put it on generously, kind of move it around, make sure, because sometimes it will slide. You want to make sure it's very generously covered for 5 minutes. Then you wipe off the excess and then you go wash off your bead and then it's etched. And I was like, okay, this is not embossed, but this is pretty good. I can live with this. And so then I just took some super glue and glued that to our vessel. But now we need to turn it into a candle. So I took those 3 honey vanilla scented candles that we got at Michael's, and again, you can do whatever color you want, and I melted those down. And then you melt a little bit, and then I filled up the bottom a little bit, and then I had some longer wicks that I put in there. I put in 3. I would think that you would need at least 3, maybe 4, so that it melts down well for this size. And then I just filled it all the way up. It did kind of cave in the middle after it fully dried, so I had to do one more layer on top to just kind of finish it and make it sure it was nice and smooth. And then you just cut off the excess candle wicks and that's it. So once everything came together, it looked surprisingly close to the original. One thing I love about this project is that there are several ways to save even more money. So you could use a thrifted container. Now, I had this one that I bought at a thrift store years ago. It was probably like $5, which is less than the HomeGoods version, which is $12, but it's also like way bigger. So you would have to do way more candle wax in it, but big candles are really in right now. I don't know if you've probably seen them, like the big vessel candles. They're huge and they're really popular. So you could totally do this. But if you could find something similar to this that's a little bit smaller, definitely at a thrift store, you would save way more money getting it there. And they have so many glass pieces. Also, Dollar Tree sells little vessels like this. Well, they're not very little. This is also bigger than the one we ended up using, so you would end up using more candle wax. Then Hobby Lobby sells this piece here for $3, and if you epoxy this on the bottom like so, there you have a very similar vessel. So if you got like this one for $3 and this for $3, you'd be into it $6, and that would save you a lot of money. So the version I created came in at around $25. About half of the cost was the container itself. The other half was the equivalent of 4 candles to fill it. And then the bead, I didn't hardly charge anything for it because I think the bead itself, I used 1 bead and it was like 10 cents. So around $25. And honestly, I think it looks just as beautiful, very, very classy. So far, would you buy it or DIY it? Is Pottery Barn versions worth the extra money, or would you rather save the difference and make it yourself? Let me know in the comments because I genuinely love seeing where everyone lands on these kinds of things. Okay, now for my favorite project of the entire episode. And honestly, this one perfectly illustrates something I've learned over the years. A beautiful home rarely comes from an expensive purchase. It's usually the result of lots of thoughtful little decisions layered together over time. So this decorative bowl arrangement immediately caught my eye. The bowl alone sells for around $100, and once you add the flowers, you're looking at roughly $170 for the complete look. The challenge was finding the right bowl shape. You saw me go through all of the shopping, and after a lot of searching, I found a wooden bowl with a very similar silhouette, but not the right finish. So what I did is I taped off the inside of the bowl, and you don't have to do this. I just wanted to leave it wood in case I wanted to ever throw fruit in it or anything like that. And I figured once the flowers were in, nobody was gonna know the difference anyways. And so I just taped it off and kept the inside of it just a wood bowl, but you don't have to do that. And then I took 3 different colors. So one was the French linen chalk paint, and then one was like a darker version. And after doing like a little section, I felt like it was not getting the warmth that we needed that came from the inspiration one. So I grabbed this kind of golden buttery tone to throw in there as well. And that made all of the difference. And I just stippled that on with a little bit of baking soda and just kind of tap, 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 tap. And that gives it some texture, which would be like more of like a ceramic thing. And I think that that worked out great. Now, once I was all done, I thought, well, maybe we want to add in some antiquing glaze because that has worked really well on some of my other pieces. And it just was not vibing right. So I ended up just scratching that idea, covering it back up with some of the colors and getting rid of it because it was just not working. Then I let it fully dry and I was thrilled with the result because it looked so much like the original one. Honestly, I was shocked by how convincing it turned out, but the flowers were a little trickier. Okay, so I found 2 cream peonies similar to the original piece. I say peonies. If you say peonies, please forgive me. If you say it another way, I apologize. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just saying it the way I was raised. Okay, back to it. I found the 2 cream peonies similar to the inspiration piece, but I couldn't find enough of them to recreate the arrangement exactly. I did find some taupe versions, but the color was just not quite right. So instead, I filled out the rest with ranunculus, cabbage roses in the same color, and a little greenery. And here's the funny thing. I actually like my arrangement better. It's fuller, and I think it looks a little bit more finished. The Pottery Barn inspired arrangement would have cost roughly $170. My version came in at around $52 total. And while the goal of buy or DIY is never just to save money, I think this project highlights something really important. Sometimes creativity allows us to create something that feels even more personal than the original.
enjoyed this episode. If so, here's another one that I think you'll like as well. And to all of you, I just want to remind you that you are powerful. We'll see you next time. Bye.